My guest today has been dancing since she could move, so for around 60 years
plus,
maybe.
More, yeah, more.
And she hasn't stopped to this day. So welcome to the Living Mojo Podcast. I'm Amy, and today I'm interviewing a really special person, Jill Healy-Quintard.
Hi there.
Welcome to the show. So I first met Jill in around 2003. We were working at Blackmores, one of Australia's biggest vitamin companies, and Jill was our fitness instructor. She was also a huge motivator of health and fitness as well. And, you know, we just clicked straight away. We had a lot in common. We had this lovely group of girlfriends. She really motivated me to get a lot fitter, knew so much about health and was really invested in natural health, detoxing, all of those things to keep well. That was something that you were living and breathing. But we also really clicked on a really good glass of French champagne and even more importantly, dancing to the wee hours on the dance floor, not just in the studio.
Yeah.
So we had a lot in common, and all these years later, it's actually deepened because we're real advocates for the planet, for the world being a place that, you know, is safe and livable and respects and cares for their people. And so we've got a real connection on that we really care about what's going on, and that people can, you know, live really happy, beautiful lives and have rights and freedom of speech and things like that. So that's what we really resonate on.
Absolutely.
And what today's interview is more about is this health, energy and mojo, which is obviously what we connect on. And as some of you know, energy has been something that has, you know, been lacking in my life at times. And so Jill is a real inspiration for that. So Jill's been teaching movement and music for around 40 plus years.
Yeah, 40 plus years.
Yeah, from the first activewear shop in the Northern Beaches. To studios, stages, fashion. You've sort of done it all. You're a really creative
and also
person.
with kids, because I was a teacher for children with disabilities.
Yeah.
So I worked in dance and movement with them too.
Yeah, so we can discuss that. That'll be really interesting. And she's also taught thousands across the world in so many different countries, you know, from New Zealand to lots of places in Europe, and we'll talk about France when we mention her beautiful husband Didier. And of course in Australia, she's even taught my husband and I. And my husband definitely needs to get back into your Pilates classes. He needs that. But in saying all of that, Jill's mantra is very simple, but it's so profound. It's movement is medicine, and I really love that. And we'll go into that in the interview as well. And you live it. You live and breathe it. And even when you had your hip injury,
Two hips.
Yes, 2 hips. You were back, you know, within 5 or 6 weeks, doing it all. Unbelievable, really impressive, and I'd love to hear more about that as well. You're also the AUSactive 2022 National Yoga Business winner, a National Pilates professional winner, 3 times finalist for the Australian Group Exercise Instructor of the Year, 3 times author. There's a lot of threes in this. We've got to make everything threes, I think. And creator of your incredible business, which
4 times judge as well.
4 times judge. There you go. So we'll go into all this stuff. This is all about you, this interview. But you know, look, all of that is fantastic, and that's stuff you can, you know, put your hat on. But I would say the accolade that is most impressive, you know, all the awards and all of that aside, is the energy and the vitality that you bring into every room. And especially for myself, because of the journey I've been on with the Lyme disease, you know, it's just something that there's nothing you can equate for that. Once you've got that, then anything can be possible in your life. So welcome to the show, Jill.
Thank you, Amy.
Really grateful to have you here. So Jill, you have a very impressive list. You're very inspiring to me, and I don't know how you fit it all into your life. But before we sort of look deeper into all the things you've done, from, you know, the awards, the judging, the businesses, all of those things, writing books, what's, you know, behind that? Who's the core of Jill? What are you about?
Well, this energy that people keep telling me I have, which I think I do, I believe it comes from a lifetime of being in a family that also had high energy, a talented family. But the absolute loss of my life of my parents, but the loss of my life is the land that we lived on, which was Duffy's Forest, on 10 acres of land, which was just completely... I was born in Kirribilli, but we moved to Duffy's Forest when I was 9. And I had the freedom to just run through the bush and experience something that a lot of people look for. With family, my father was an Irish Catholic. He came out to Australia with however they got out very cheaply with 13 children. They didn't bring the 13 children, but he was the first one born in Australia, and they moved to Mullumbimby, of all places, and bought a dairy farm. So that family, as in Irish Catholics, and if anyone knows Irish Catholics, they know they like to party.
Yes,
so
my mum's Irish background,
So pretty full on. And as a child, because we lived in Duffy's Forest, so that's why I mentioned that as well, we lived in Duffy's Forest, we had land that nobody else in our family had. I mean, we lived in the city. Like, we lived in Sydney, which was half an hour from the CBD, in the bush. So every member of the family would come to our place, and we would have parties. We were little kids. We'd have parties. They all they drank a lot and danced. And my mother...
Doesn't sound Irish.
Yeah, I know. My mother, though, on the German side, amazing musician, and from a very, very musical family. So she would play the piano all the time, and everyone would sing all those songs. So as a child, I had this going on all the time. I never got tired of it. I loved my cousins. We used to have such fun, all the parents out there, you know, doing whatever they were doing, and we were doing what we were doing. And it was just amazing energy, and never stopped. But then I started ballet. Before we'd moved to Duffy's Forest, actually. And we had to get to the city to Joan Halliday's School of Dance, which at that time was one of the elite schools. And so that whole energy was we'd have to get from Duffy's Forest and to the city, which normally we'd catch a ferry, but we ended up catching buses and trains. Getting to the city, I was going to ballet as a little girl. I had to climb these stairs, go through Hyde Park, have all sorts of things happen. I could tell you some stories there as a child. Walking through
I think that's for another show.
Yeah, but all this stuff, you know, so everything was sort of high energy. My mother, as I say, talented
lots of
woman,
movement, obviously.
Lots of movement. And ballet was absolute my passion. I just adored classical ballet. My sister was put into the same school and she hated it. So we were not alike as that, but my sister's an artist. But yeah, so I just remember that my whole life being like that. And I did marry very young. I married someone that he's a cool man. But he was older than me, he was Canadian, he was travelling, and I married him very young. Nice Catholic girl, Catholic wedding, all of that sort of thing. And before I knew it, I'm going, what have I done? I'm only 21, you know. And so I hadn't even completed my education, actually. I was at uni. So then time went on a little bit. I had a baby. And in those times, and this is really now, you can't imagine this. Back then, that was in 79 he was born, 80, right at the end of 79. I'd trained as a teacher. When I was saying I hadn't even finished uni, I just started teaching my very first job. And you had to resign. You couldn't have babies, there was no maternity leave, nothing. You had to just resign. So I resigned. I wasn't very happy. We moved from where we were to Newport, and I didn't know anybody, and I had a baby. So here's where the fitness came in. I suddenly went, I'm a dancer. I might start a fitness class. And I took the baby one day in a pram we lived in Newport, walked all the way to Bayview, and I went into the squash courts where I knew they had childminding. And I said to the guy who owned the place, have you ever had an exercise class here? And he said, no, but I'd like one. Can you do one? And I said, yeah. So I said, when? He said, as soon as you're ready. So I went home, and those days we had the cassettes and a cassette player. And what I used to do was tune it into either it was double or triple J, I'm not sure which one, but it had the dance music that I wanted. And would just do stop, start. That's how I did my music, my first music, which I'm still doing in a different way, but with Spotify. But anyway,
not with a cassette anymore.
No cassette. So I put on what I knew was my ballet wear, and this is quite interesting actually, because I took my leg warmers. There was no shoes because there was no training. Nobody was doing this. So I wore a pair. I can't believe what I wore. I actually wore a G-string leotard and a pair with tights that were like skin coloured and leg warmers, no shoes.
It sounds a bit like Let's Get Physical with the Olivia Newton-John, that kind of look.
It was exactly that look, but it was before that even happened.
And you probably looked a bit like her too, with your blonde hair.
Maybe, but that was before. Yeah, and I know I was breastfeeding, so I had, I actually looked, I think, pretty good. So anyway, I started a class.
Yeah.
And everybody loved it. Within a very short period of time, it was so big that they asked me to do more classes. The child minding was full. The woman who was doing child minding for people playing squash was going, I can't do this. I need a bigger space to have all these children. It was actually amazing. And then someone said to me, do you know Jane Fonda? And I said, oh yeah, the actress. She's doing something like what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'd already been doing it. I didn't know who Jane... I knew
You're
Jane
the
Fonda.
original Jane Fonda.
I can't believe it. Isn't that ridiculous? Then it got called aerobics.
Yes.
So that was, excuse me, that was 1980, 81. And then 84 was the first time someone said, well, maybe we should do some training for instructors. So I went into what was called the Physical Culture Association and did a training in Narrabeen. A training in Narrabeen, got a certificate that said I was a trained fitness person, and that was the beginning of the industry. I really believe that was the beginning of the industry. At the same time, my sister was going through a big breakup with 2 kids. She was coming to Sydney, and she's an artist, and I said, I'm going to open a shop. Let's do that. So at the same time, here I am, baby, other children, teaching classes. We opened a shop in Avalon called Stretch Connection, and my business is still called Stretch Connection Body and Balance. So we opened this shop. I had tights, leotards and all that designed, and then I started bringing in the shoes because people were starting to wear shoes in fitness industry, and she was doing other designs, and we got an amazing, beautiful gay guy came in, and he just loved our clothes, and he said, you should be doing stuff for Mardi Gras. So then we started doing Mardi Gras clothing. It was actually quite amazing. So this was all mid-80s.
Lots of colour.
Lots going on, lots of life going on. Meanwhile, I was also teaching drama, and I had a drama school in Narrabeen called Magic Theatre, with an old friend of mine who was a school friend, a guy. We did Magic Theatre. I haven't mentioned any of this, have I? Magic Theatre, because I was also doing film. I was doing acting. Yes. Oh, I forgot that. At the same time, I did 3 years acting training at the Ensemble. And I ended up teaching at the Ensemble. So there's all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's never stopped.
Yeah, really multifaceted. There's like... It's not just movement, it's self-expression, it's fashion, it's music, it's all of those things.
I keep forgetting what I've done. I'm like, oh, that's right, I did that.
You're very multi-talented. And, you know, some of this stuff, how long have we known each other? I don't even know some of this. You know what's interesting? I didn't realise as well, we were both born in Kirribilli. Really? Yes, I was also born in
Waruda Street?
Just at the hospital.
Oh, at the Mater.
Yeah, the Mater.
I was born at the Mater.
The Mater, but we lived in Kirribilli as well, right on the water there.
Yeah, us, Waruda Street, Kirribilli.
And then when we finally built the sort of family home, because we did a lot of travelling, living in different countries and things, but when I was in year 5, so what's that, around the age of 11 or something like that, we built a house in Davidson right next to Terry Hills, Duffy Forest.
Isn't that funny?
And I grew up in Terry Hills because I had friends that had horses. So when you talk about that, I'm like, yes, it was a very free, very wild, and there was just a lot of opportunity when it comes to that. So I suppose that leads into, and you've probably already answered this, but when you think of the word mojo, as you know, your business has always been, you know, body and balance. Mine's always been around mojo. It used to be mummy mojo. Now it's more about living that mojo. And for me, mojo is the lit up, most sparkly, energetic version of yourself. So what does that word mean to you then?
I love that word. The moment I hear that word, I just got a tingle in my head.
That's so good.
The moment I hear that word, it's like, oh, it's bright and it's alive and it's energy, and I'm still getting that tingle. It's like whenever I get that tingle, that's really positive. I start to get hyperactive as well.
Yes, we've got to be careful. Us two might end up just having a conversation and leaving you all out. We'll try not to do that.
But anyway, to me it means it's like the ultimate energy and vitality and having a positivity and a vibration, all of those things, which I talk about is lifting vibrations. And when your mojo is positive, you're at the most beautiful time in your life, I think, or a beautiful moment in your life when your mojo is positive. And I loved it when you called you a mummy mojo, and now you're still mummy, but you're not doing mummy mojo.
Yeah, it's more about the living and the holistic, looking at everything. You and I'll go into that a bit later, but we look at everything. We look at toxins, we look at emotions, we look at movement, sleep, relationships, all of it. All of it's part of mojo.
All of it. And we've been really tested in the last few years, haven't we?
We have. Yes. We absolutely have. And, you know, it has taken us a lot.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we've come a long way since COVID, but there were a few sticky years there where we weren't sure where things were going to go. And, you know, we need more people like you in this world that keep the not only keep the vibrations high, but allow people to seek joy, seek health, maybe push back against some of the things that are going on when it comes to certain industries that might be polluting the world, polluting our bodies, those sorts of things. So you've spent your life around fitness, movement, well-being, joy, high vibrations, all of that. And it started in childhood, and I love that. And creativity as well, from your parents who are very creative to Elodie, who's an incredible musician and singer. But I'd love to know your definition of what you would say that health and wellness, we talked about mojo, but health and wellness, what that definition means to you now. So you've talked a little bit about your history. Maybe it's similar, but, you know, we go through different evolutions, don't we, in our life. Once you go through menopause, I mean, I'm still going through it, but, you know, then it changes you again, or, you know, things that happen in the world, or a different marriage, or so what has the definition changed for you, or what's your definition now in these days of health and sort of wellness?
Okay, so yes, I suppose it has changed. Interesting you're mentioning the menopause again, because I look at people now, it's become like the M word. And I think it's gone a little bit over the top, the M word. But it's great to see that women are being represented, because they weren't. Didn't even think about it. You know, like when you went through menopause. I went through menopause at Blackmores, by the way.
Yes, and I wouldn't have known that. You held yourself a lot better than I am.
But the funny thing is, I went straight into, that's another section, I suppose, but I actually went down the alternative path with that too. So I looked at other methods that there's no way I was doing HRT, like absolutely no way. So I looked at other methods, other people that were representing women and herbalists, naturopaths, alternative people, to find ways to deal with that. So yes, that's changed in my way of thinking of health, and I still talk about this. I run some programs that are about my menopause hub. I actually have to help people, women, not people, but it's women. Men need to understand too. Actually, do you know what?
Men do need to understand it.
Men also go through a change that is not even mentioned.
Menopause.
I'm waiting for that to come out. Maybe I should do it myself. But things change, and even my husband has said to me things like, he knows that he was saying at certain times of the month, he would notice, I am going off a bit on this, but he would notice that his skin felt rougher, or beard hair was tougher.
Yeah, it was part of the midlife crisis as well, right? No, that's I agree totally with you. I mean, they don't have as many hormones as us to deal with, but, you know, especially testosterone can be very different in a lot of men, and it does seem to change at a similar time to what it does with women. Now, I think that will come next, because I think we're still grappling with how to deal properly with menopause. It's unbelievable to think that, you know, in our parents' time, and particularly our grandparents' time, they just, you know, had no support at all. But it's interesting with my clients, and you're probably the same, or just even people that you talk to, a lot of people still feel very lost and unsupported. We're still not where we need to be. I think, you know, that is a whole other discussion, and I can see you're going to be on the podcast quite a bit, Jill, because I'd love to have a discussion with you about the equality with women, about the world at large. We'd have some great conversations about that. That's for another time. But it does feed into you know, the journey that you've been on with, you know, kids and menopause and the different facets of your career with aging, all of that. And I know it has for you as well. For me, it's brought different things into my business or different interests that I want to take on. And your business in turn has been through different reiterations. Like it's been like, at this stage, I'm really focused on yoga, and now I'm bringing more movement in, and now I've got a menopause hub, and it changes things, doesn't it? Because you go through things and you think, wow, there's not much out there.
Yeah.
Especially for women.
Well, one of the things, and I think I've mentioned it maybe in here, one of the things I did notice that when we were living in France, so I was in my 40s, went into my 50s, that's when I came back to Blackmores. We were living in France, and I was running classes for women then who used to smoke. They would stop in the class and light a cigarette. Anyway, that was another story again.
No, that's really interesting. No, the stories, I love your stories. They're fascinating.
And I, in fact, that's just happened not that long ago recently, someone came up and spoke to me in the street. This is in France. Anyway, but and said to me, "I still haven't smoked since your classes."
Wow.
So that was in the late 90s, right? So what was I going to say? So I'm living there, and I was able to completely be me because I was an Aussie woman. They love Aussies, right?
Yes.
Married to a French man, which gave me some legitimacy.
Yeah. Yeah, she is married. She has a place in France. She speaks French, so she's got. But you are an Aussie at your heart. Yes.
So I was able to just make up my own stuff, and I was teaching a version. When you said yoga, and I still do this. I was teaching a version, and I said, I wonder if anyone will ever do this, and now they're doing it. I was teaching a version, which was flow movement, always getting that going, and then taking it into a little bit faster, putting the music up, get hand weights and go into a yoga pose. I was doing that in France, right? Nobody did that. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It started now.
Yes.
Just now.
Yeah, now they're doing a lot more fusion classes, and I think... watch this space, but there'll most likely be a video on the website of Jill showing me some of her, movement. I think that could be really fun because you are the sort of...
I love flow. Like I keep it moving.
Yeah, foremother of it all. Is that the word you'd say?
A foremother?
I don't know. Is that a forefather? You know how they use that expression?
It's like
you're
never thought of it.
Inventor, maybe is a
trailblazer.
Yeah, trailblazer. That's a really good word.
because someone else called me that recently.
You're a trailblazer for all the
AUSactive
things.
did.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So you're the trailblazer.
But doing that and then coming back to Australia, oh my God, was Australia boring? There was like, no, you have to do this, you have to do this, and there's rigidness. And I was going, it was Blackmores that I actually could get freedom back again. It's interesting because I actually sort of made up my classes then too.
Yeah, it was wonderful. That's why we love them so much.
And put on the dance music and Kendall coming down and going, oh, I just want to come down here and dance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we loved it. And with the fact that we were able to leave our desks as well and come down and just have that freedom.
Also, Blackmores were ahead of their time, that's for sure.
Yeah, they were allowing you to be yourself, fully expressed.
But that was the only place that had an actual gym. You know, that now every place is doing this type of thing. So that was really ahead of its time. So where were we?
Well, just saying about the thread of this, I think everyone's gathering that movement is threaded through your entire life. And so what does it give you that nothing else does? Why is it movement? Yes, you've got all this other stuff, but I'd say at the core of everything you do, there's movement. Is it about energy or is it something else?
It is energy, but I say it's about mind, body, heart and spirit.
Yes.
That's what I always say all the time.
Yeah.
That is my absolute mantra and has been for years. Because you can be feeling, in fact, I tell the women this, the women who are feeling really down and they go, oh, like I had a class yesterday, okay? This woman said to me, oh, I can't dance. I said, no, we don't have to dance. We're not dancing. I'm just putting music on and we just move our bodies, right? And she had gone severely. She was severely menopausal. And so we ended up having this great conversation after the class. But what it does, the moment you move your body, so for instance, great example, if you turn to your right, you massage your liver.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Think of your spine. Standing tall, lengthened spine, crown of head to ceiling, can't help myself. So what you do, you turn to the right. You could be sitting in a chair, you could be standing, maybe at a bar or whatever you're doing. You massage your liver and also stretch the muscles that support your spine, which helps the bones. If you go to your left, you massage your spleen. Okay, if you're sitting in an office, this is a really good thing to do. Really good to think.
And how often would you do that during the day? As often
I
as
think
you can?
everyone who's sitting at a desk or standing, do it standing. I never sit, I stand. Standing even at a desk. You do it maybe every half hour.
Ooh,
Do some movement. Because think about it, if you're just there like this, you're completely sort of mesmerised by what's in front of you. Your whole body just goes into a bit of a nothingness. You know, I mean, do you move? Do you stand at your desk?
Sometimes I do. I do think of you often, not in that way. But yeah, no, I do think of you, and I'm like, Jill would have a lot of incidental, exercise built in her day. And it is interesting. I have become a lot more like that. Harrison as well. Harrison and I are both a bit similar, and we're both very sort of slim, sort of quite, physically fit people in that way. And I think it is a lot of that incidental exercise. It's like, going up the stairs a few times, moving about.
Yeah.
I actually do sit at my desk because I find I concentrate a bit better. Mind you, I've never really tried a stand-up desk fully. Brad has a lot of stand-up desks in his business in the city, and they're becoming a lot more popular, and I do love that idea of standing up. When I like to stand up is when I'm on a phone call.
Yeah.
So I'll move about. I like to be hands-free anyway, because, obviously the radiation from EMF and phones. So that's always a good opportunity for me to pace. And then maybe when I'm in the kitchen, sometimes I remember you, and I might just do a few squats in between.
Push-ups.
Not quite push-ups, but that could be good on the bench. On the bench, you're not meaning on the floor.
Yeah. Push-ups on the bench.
Yeah.
Squats.
I think that's great. And then if we move from that kind of movement, which you're really great, and in the early days I started with yoga with you, and then started doing Pilates and other types of movement. And if we look at music and movement, which is a real passion of yours, you've got a dancer who's an incredible musician and songwriter. It's in your blood as well, and in your family's blood. And you've incorporated a lot of that over the years into what you do in fitness. It's become so much more than just fitness over the years.
Fitness and well-being, it's absolutely, you cannot have one without the other.
Yeah.
It's got to be that way.
And it's also in your personal life, right?
It's
Jill and I have shared many a dance on a dance floor, not just at an amazing concert or nightclub. It's actually been around the kitchen bench, wherever we can find it. We like to get a bit of movement. We love house music. But tell us why you love dance and music so much, why it can be medicine for the soul.
Oh, there we go. Movement is medicine for the mind, body, heart and spirit. You don't have to even be a dancer. That's really important. People don't have to think, I can't dance. Yes, you can. Yeah. All you do is flow. And once you start moving just that little bit, you start to reset your nervous system. So if you're in a state of sadness, or your body's going through changes you're not enjoying, which is what happens to most women, particularly women have children, then they go through the next stage, and then they're going menopause, and they start going, this is not my body anymore, it's someone else's body. When you start to move, and I think breath work, so I use breath as well. So when you start to move and to breathe and take deep breaths into your body, into your lungs, and then just letting that breath out with a movement, it changes the way you feel. It changes even the way you think. You've felt this yourself, I know you have.
Yes, I have. I have, and it's interesting because, even with dancing, at a club or anything like that, sometimes all you need is music.
Yeah.
And it can be so
and it changes
uplifting.
The way you feel.
And people who don't even dance might often say, well, I just love music, when I'm in the kitchen cooking and that kind of thing.
Get your spoons out and start banging the drums in the kitchen, and the music's and beats and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and so I suppose that brings me to a question which goes very well with this, and it's part of it. As you know, Jill, we've been friends for a long, long time, and you've seen me at my absolute energized bunny best. I was probably a lot like you when you first met me, and then you've seen me on the other side when I've had Lyme disease completely make me bedridden and take a lot of my life force. And you never know whether you're going to get a yes, I can come, or a actually I'm not well enough to come to things. And so what would you say to the woman who says, I'm too tired to exercise? What would you say?
I do hear this quite often. Just to do something that makes you feel good. Don't think you've got to go and lift heavy weights or start, join a gym and start doing something. It has to be something that you feel as though you can do. If people say, oh no, I can't exercise at all, then something that you can move with. And that's where I come back to music, of course. Put on a track. Just put something that makes you feel good. Think about a time you felt good. And think about the music that might have been in that time. I mean, I think most people have a track where they go, oh my God, oh, that has taken me. I'll just add this because it happened to me last night. So Charlene, who's a friend of Kendall's, who was down at the wedding, all of them,
Yeah.
We met up with her last week and she was in Sydney. And so we've been conversing. And last night she put a track of music which is called Underwater Love. That's a Brazilian, I can't remember the name of the music, but it was 1998 track. And she put it on her little video. It's called Underwater Love. And she's got her and her husband Kyle in Portugal. And I suddenly, tingles in the head again. I went, oh my God, think of that time.
Yes.
That was a time, and that's what I wrote on this too. It was a time of feeling so free and alive. We were living in France during this music. And I was looking at her pictures and they just took me back. And I just felt good and I went, I'm getting this on. I'm going to put this on now. So I put it on last night and just danced. And I think everyone will have something that makes them remember a time, a good time in their life, a beautiful time of happiness with music. So I'm back to music and movement. And if you can find something that does that, I don't think I've known anyone who says, oh no, there's no music that I can think of, or no, I can't move, I can't dance. I add some other things, like when I have done the dance classes where people say they can't move, I love fabrics. My mother was an incredible dress designer, so our house was full of fabric. So I love fabrics, and I remember as a child getting fabrics and just moving with fabrics and music. And even if you couldn't dance, you just throw it up in the air and it becomes something.
Well, I did gymnastics and I did gymnastics like that for a while. But it's also combining another therapy, because music can be therapy, dancing can be therapy, and colour therapy. And if you can mix all that together, because for different people, different things motivate them. But
and that's it, exactly.
Yeah, Darude Sandstorm was a song that I can remember. As you know, Brad DJs, and he used to have a number of club nights, and he was always playing, certain songs were his kind of highlight songs, and also some of the songs from when we were living in London that we used to hear all the time. You think of that, and very similar to you, freedom. Brings you joy. Or a song from childhood, from a happy time of childhood.
Exactly.
And you can see people's face uplift. And I suppose, so is that why you say that movement is medicine?
Yes.
And what would be maybe a message to someone who does feel exhausted?
We're back. Yes, I know. For the women that are exhausted. That's why I'm saying you don't need to join a gym. You don't need to do a dance class. You don't need to do all these things. You just gradually bring yourself in and bring something. I mentioned music. I can't help but bring music to this from the perspective of think of something or a time that brought you joy. And usually that is associated with music. In fact, I'd say most people think of a tune of some kind. And just think about movement that you could do to this and start to gradually. I had a new woman actually who started recently with me who said, oh no, I can't move. No, I can't. It was amazing by the end of the class what she was doing. I don't know. I love
that.
Yeah.
Because my daughter's a dancer as well. So I've spent all of her lifetime anyway, since 3,
Yeah.
going to these things, and even some of the music from her first performances, or where she won a national award once, and that song for that routine, when I hear it, it just brings
it back.
Brings me pride. It brings me a lot of feelings, not just joy.
Yeah.
And that nostalgia, I think, can be really helpful. You know, even the times that I was bedridden, and thankfully those days are gone now, but just having some music playing would be enough, even just to, you know, encourage a little bit of energy and a little bit of movement.
It's exactly what I'm referring to, is that sort of thing. But still, that there is a problem there where people think they can't move, and therefore they have to exercise or they have to join a gym, which again brings me back to, even if they're in the kitchen, whatever they're doing, put some music on that it'll just make them move a little bit and start to change the flow in their body. It changes the blood supply, it changes the breath, and that will change the person. So I'm talking about a nervous system.
So there's a cellular nervous system change, isn't it? Which is just so wonderful, because you're right. I think in this modern day, especially where we live in the Northern Beaches, fitness is just even semi-overcomplicated, and there's
and over the top.
There's a million run clubs, and people are doing ultra marathons. And I'm not saying they aren't beneficial for a certain subset of people, but as we know, and I think this segues very well into the next question, because, you know, in recent years, menopause has become a big focus for you, movement and menopause, and it does change for women going through menopause. It's not about flogging yourself at a gym. It might be about lifting weights, but it might be about, you know, heavy weights slowly. It might be about dancing and finding joy. So tell us a bit more about that, and why that's become a real passion for you. Yeah, why menopause has become such a focus for you.
It actually hasn't been a huge focus, but I'm noticing it's a huge focus generally now. I have been very aware, of course, because I've been through it in women as well. But one thing I do know for a fact, that doing hardcore cardio, hardcore weights, hardcore, all the different things that they're expected to do, the tribe gyms, the people running and all of that sort of thing, is not great for menopausal women, because it's too much. The system is actually going through a change, and we've got to respect that change and realise that change is our womanhood. That change is when we become the witches. The witches we were always...
I'm not quite there, but I can't wait to join the witch club, the witchy poo club.
This is like, we are the witches. We are the ones. We are the ones who have so much knowledge. And this is like, it starts to rise within us. And if we start to flog ourselves, as you mentioned, going bang, 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 because we don't think we look 25 anymore, we are missing out on a huge, amazing part of our lives, because we have 42% of living left after menopause.
Wow.
That's quite a bit. That's almost half.
That's amazing. That actually makes me feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. So due to that, we need to... We're not turning into little old ladies or anything like that. We're turning into absolutely empowered, incredible, amazing femininhood, not feminist. What's the word I'm trying to think of?
Well, strong, powerful, women who know themselves, who, you know, have let go of all the old beliefs and the limiting stuff, because, you know, it's a mind, body, spirit transformation. Yeah. And, you know, I suppose it does happen for most women in their 40s and 50s, and their bodies are changing. And so is this what you're referring to? That you just need to be more sort of nourishing and more respectful and listen to what your body needs.
And listen to what your body needs, not try and push it to be a young girl anymore, because you're not. And also, it's also a time where most women's children have now reached a stage where they don't need their mother as much. They still need their mother. That's never going to stop, that one. But they are moving away, which also causes, you know, some sort of heartache.
The psychic cord gets broken.
I'm not needed anymore. I can't be pregnant anymore anyhow. You know, all of that sort of thing. That's where I turn it around and say, this is the most exciting time of your life. Just think of this. You are now reborn.
Yes. I love what you say, and I love this so much. And I've heard it before, but the way you reframe it for women, as it really speaks to me. you say instead of anti-aging, call it pro-aging. And that's a lovely reframe for women. Do you want to talk a bit more about that? Because I love that.
Well, because anti-aging means that you should be going out and getting wrinkle creams and having Botox and all of that sort of thing. That's what anti-aging means. If we start to see ourselves as the beautiful people we are, the people with the knowledge, the people who have, in fact, think of what is a mother, what is a woman, what is, even if you're not a mother, but a woman, you have an incredible power. We have power, and we know we have knowledge, power and knowledge. So why would you want to call this an anti-aging? Anti means negative, right?
It does, yes.
And so to be pro, you're taking it to a level where we realise that we are the people that have the knowledge, have the experience, have energy, if that's, we have the energy, and we are the people who can be respected, listened to, and there's a word that keeps sliding away from what I'm trying to say, it's in my head, but pro-aging versus anti-aging, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you think of anti-aging, what do you think of? Wrinkle cream.
Yeah. But you also, like you said, it's got a negative connotation. It's so interesting that it's used so widely.
Yeah.
But you and I come from a very similar standpoint where we believe beauty is an inside job. It's not about all that other stuff. And that a really beautiful woman is joyful and is friendly and is confident in their own skin.
And it comes through their eyes too, the vitality. It's about vitality.
Yeah, vitality as well. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, vitality is, it's interesting that I've been through what I've been through, but I now know that that's been because I can then share my experiences and what works and what doesn't work. But also having the journey that I've had, a lot of people do go through that and not living this life where you're prioritizing health and wellness and vitality and dance and movement and all these things. You're just going to continue to, get ill,
evolving,
not heal, and you're not going to evolve into the best person you can be. And so I'd love you to give a personal example. I've obviously got my example with the mold and Lyme illness, and then an example for you with something that, stopped you in your tracks just for a short while.
Yes, it
was
did.
The 2 hip surgeries. It's a bit of a dark patch, but you bounced back, like 6 weeks, unbelievable. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Tell our listeners just a bit more about how it's affected you, the process, what you went through. Yeah,
it's interesting. As you know, with your Lyme's, you would have gone through this as well. When you discover something that you've been so used to having, is your energy. That's with me. I was so used to be able to teach, and suddenly, there's so many examples of things that happen. It was the first one, I had 2, but not at the same time.
Yes.
So the first one was in 2007, and that was my right hip. I was working at Blackmores then. And was I, or was it?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah. When did I leave? Was that the first? Anyway. Yeah. So, yes.
Maybe shortly after that. It was probably around 211 or something like that, I think.
But I was, the pain is, the labrum. Oh, and I'll tell you when it happened too. So all my passion of movement and dance and yoga and all the rest, I began doing Bikram yoga classes. I maybe shouldn't even mention the word Bikram, but I was doing hot yoga, right? Which I'm so against now. I can't believe it.
Because it really loosens all the joints and everything, doesn't it? It makes people think they're a lot more flexible.
And this is what happened. So I was doing this class, which I was actually quite enjoying. The instructors knew me, and they knew the other things that I do. And I was in what's called a dancer's pose, which you'd know, the leg up at the back and the arm forward. And the woman who was the instructor came around, she goes, "Jill, you can take it much further than that."
As they do.
My labrum.
Oh, wow.
So if anyone knows anything, the labrum is attached to your hip.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Ouch, yes.
And that's where it started.
Yeah.
But I did my usual stuff, kept going, decided I can heal myself. I won't do anything about it. This is not in 2007. In fact, this occurred long before 2007. I think it occurred... Anyway, look, let me think. It was, the hip replacement was 2007.
That's sort of when it came to the crux.
Yeah, but when it did, but I kept saying, no, I can fix it.
Yes.
So I kept doing things, and I remember one of my yoga instructors at the time said to me, "Jill, you've being torn. Don't do this move. And I'm going, I'll be fine. I can't believe this. I was so switched off on that sense. And here I am teaching yoga, and I tore it more.
We think we're invincible when we're younger.
So then I got to the point I couldn't walk. And I remember the Christmas that year, I had to do Christmas shopping, and I was saying, I need a walking stick. I don't want anyone to see me. And I was sort of trying to hide from people. And Elodie said to me, Elodie, the beautiful daughter, Elodie said to me, Mum, I'll drive you down. We'll go to the mall and I'll grab you a shopping trolley. And you can just do that. You know, like people with those wheel things when they can't walk. That's how I did my Christmas shopping that year. I would not let go of that trolley. Got back to the car and she drove again because I couldn't even drive. It was so bad. And I remember Didier saying to me, Jill, you've got to go and see someone. This is ridiculous. So I finally saw a doctor. I didn't have a doctor because as we've discussed as well, certain levels, things that I don't want, you know, that come through the medical profession.
Yeah, of course.
And so I found a doctor. He put me onto another doctor who turned out to be a hip specialist. Went to see him, saw my x-rays, and he said, there's no way you can continue walking. Then I found out I had hip dysplasia.
Oh, that's what our dog has.
Yeah. So that's why she had the operation.
Yes.
And lots of dogs have it. And I remember going, so they'll put me down then. Because dogs get put down.
No one would ever put you down. Oh, not many dogs.
Yeah.
Miley only had it very mildly, but she'd had a hip fracture as well.
Yeah.
So she'd had an injury.
Yeah.
So it was the compounding factor. And for having an injury when you've already got that going on, I can see why they were like, you have to have it replaced.
It's a weird thing because I didn't even know. And it wasn't until after my hip replacement I realised I'd been in pain all my life. Like this pain was worse.
You're very resilient and strong. I think that's something.
So the tear was the worst. It was really painful. But I realised that I'd always, and I remember when I was dancing, when I was, you know, doing my classical ballet and things like that, and turnout and splits, and did aerobic championships where I did jump splits. You know, I'm thinking, oh my God, I used to be in pain.
But so how has it been post-surgery? Like, why do you think you recovered so quickly? Well, let's talk about the second hip surgery because we can't go into the whole detail. Okay. But I just was really amazed when I saw you not long after. And then I'm like, wow, you're kind of back. What do you think, you know, tell us why you think that.
So I think was Blackmore's for first and second hip. I might have been actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were just still in contact. I suppose that doesn't matter so much as to why you think it was that you were able to recover so quickly.
So I remember going back to teaching. I had some other instructors. My business didn't stop. And I did everything like a good little patient should do. I did the post-exercise, I did the exercises, physio, the pool. That was my favourite. This is the second operation now. The pool was absolutely amazing, and I ended up doing all my exercise in the pool and showing other people in the pool. Couldn't help myself, teaching them what to do, some exercises for their, you know.
Why do you think you're like that though? Because I think there'll be a lot of people listening to this podcast that ranging from maybe going through menopause, a bit of burnout, right through to, you know, severe autoimmune diseases, and just women that are a little bit stressed out and not coping very well. I just think, you know, is it an inner resilience that you think your whole life has given you?
Could be ADHD. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed. But
you are a go-getter in that way. You don't stop, do you?
I don't know.
Maybe it is that not stopping and having that relentless pursuit of wanting to keep going.
I must say, when I was doing my rehabilitation, I was in the pool at Del Mar, and I was in the pool, and that joy, like you wouldn't believe, of moving again. It was incredible because the pool makes it so easy. And we have a pool.
So it's a heated pool therapy.
Yeah, heated pool. Yeah. And then when I got home, Didier built me a special thing to get me into the spa because we've got a spa, which of course I was able to use that. So the fact I did all the right things, did all the exercises, and continued having my classes running. And I remember my biggest achievement was walking independently from my house, you know where I live, to North Stane Surf Club, which is where my class was running. And I was determined I'm going to meet those women, that my clients, to have a coffee today. And that was around maybe 5 weeks after surgery.
That's amazing.
And off I went.
Yeah.
I got my niece to come with me in case something happened and I collapsed on the road or whatever, I wasn't sure. Walk, got down there, and it was like they all went, whoa! It was just lovely. And then being able to sit and have a coffee and talk and feel like I've got my life back again.
Yeah, you've got your community.
Yeah.
I think you and I are very similar in that, like we seek relationships, community.
Yeah.
We seek, finding things that bring us joy and purpose, very purpose-led. And that's very much what my business is built on. It's probably more about that, more about women sort of loving themselves for who they are, that expression of self-love, being their authentic selves, and then finding purpose and meaning in their life. Because if you don't do what brings you joy and freedom and meaning, what's life about?
See, that's it, exactly that what you're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We're aligned.
100%.
We're obviously very well aligned and have a lot of similar interests when it comes to leading a mojo-filled life, in movement, in dance and music, in health and wellness. And speaking of health and wellness, something else we really align on is reducing toxins in the home, in the body, in our relationships. I have a water filtration system. I know you do too. So tell us a little bit more about why that's so important to you, and tell me maybe just a couple of things that you do.
I know for a fact people get sick from the water. And I've talked to people who've measured the water, and they've measured the water here that people drink on a regular basis. It is full of parasites. It's full of so many toxins. So 100% filtration system through our entire house, and that includes, so you get it for your shower, the water on your face, the water you do your clothes washing in, everything. And then to double it, we've got an osmosis filter system in the kitchen that Didier couldn't believe when he did it. Went through the cupboards, through the fridge that has its own ice maker.
Yes,
so
wonderful.
Just the ice itself is also filtered and alkaline, right? So I believe in that, and I remember when I had my baby, who's now 32, the amazing singer, 32, I remember having her and having a water system in the house, and discovered a year later they had forgotten to put the filter in. I was so angry, and I'm thinking, I poisoned my daughter probably. I remember thinking that then. So this has been a very long time.
Yeah, that's amazing. You really are a trailblazer, Jill.
Yeah, really long time, and I was very angry. They compensated me with some free, filters or something. But yeah, so I really believe that we should do that. As I say, when the guy measured, he told us about the water outside of our house, how bad it was that people are drinking on a regular basis. And that worries me, because not only that, the different things that have been put into people's bodies in the last few years and going, through water systems,
with lots of heavy metals, toxic chemicals,
yes,
fluoride.
Yeah, fluoride. I don't use fluoride.
No.
We use the, what's it called, that brand? Grant's
toothpaste. I use Grant's.
Grant's toothpaste.
I'm using their whitening one at the moment. My teeth need a little bit of natural whitening. That does help a little bit.
But what I do, can I just pop this
bit of charcoal.
I've got charcoal, but I've also got carb soda next to the toothpaste. You get the carb soda and mix that with the toothpaste as well.
That's a really good idea, because I put that in my veggie washing, as you've seen.
I do too.
I love that idea. So there you go. There's a little
bowl of carb soda.
Little bowl of carb soda with your toothpaste. Make sure your toothpaste is organic. Grant's is one of the best, and they have a really good variety. You can't say you don't like a flavour, which my kids have done, because there's every flavour. You can find something.
And then find babies ones even.
So we're
up to toothpaste. Up to that, toxins, chemicals, heavy metals that are in the waters. So we need to have, I believe everyone should have a filtration system, and ours has been very, very good. The other thing I'm using at the moment, which I've just discovered, so we're going on to that next one, the peptide.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, because obviously we look at toxins in everything, and this, like I said, I think this probably needs to be another chat around the detox program. Would be lovely, because you look at everything. You can look at everything from your relationships through to your water. We've got a home filtration system, your food and things like that. But then you look at what you put in your body or put on your body, and I know that you've recently got, you're very interested in longevity as well. That's a very important for you. You're coming into that phase of life where you're like, it doesn't matter what age you are. No, but we all are. I mean, I am too. It's the second phase. It's the witch phase, right? And then you kind of go, well, actually, I can be more energetic, more everything than I ever was. And plus, I've got the wisdom and experience and all the things you've already spoken about.
The wise woman. That's it. Older, wiser, bolder.
Yeah.
sexier.
Oh, I love that. And sexier. And one of the ways you can be sexier is with this peptide gel. Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, look, this is the thing it's quite it's not new. The actually study of it is over 15 years old now, and these people have kept it all to themselves. The IP is their own, all that sort of thing. It's new for me. It's very new. It's only a few, in fact, 6 weeks or something like that.
Wow.
But
hot off the press, everybody. Hot off the press.
But in Paris in 2024, I had my suitcases. I was on the metro train. Didier was up the other side with his stuff, and it went sliding off down the thing because the trains, move sort of fast and go round corners. And off went my suitcase, and with me attached, and I ended up with my arm around a pole, and my knee just went. Right, terrible. And not the hip. I'm thinking knee replacement, but. So I came back and I've done all sorts of stuff. I still continue exercising, still doing my stuff, but being careful with the knee. And having physiotherapy, and that seemed to be okay. And acupuncture was working a little bit. And then I met this person who started telling me about the peptide gel. And it's somebody who I knew, she lives in Melbourne though, but someone I knew, and she was saying what had occurred to her. So I started putting this on my knee. Within a few days, my knee was starting, I didn't have that pain anymore.
Wow.
In a few days. You only have to look it up now. It's carnosine. It's called carnosine.
Carnosine, yes.
Carnosine is something that's in all our bodies when we're born, and as we get older, it depletes. And it takes your energy. I mean, if you once you don't have carnosine, you don't have the same energy. So you look at children, how they can just continue going and jumping and never want to go to bed, when they're little. This has given me another energy boost. Just I needed that, didn't I?
Oh no, she's got more energy. I think you give me some of that and you keep your...
But seriously, I was walking down to Manly and I just felt, I said this to myself a week ago. I actually videoed myself talking. I'm going, I've got an energy like I used to have before. This is amazing. You don't even think you don't have it, but here it's back again. And that's how I felt.
Wow.
And I know I talk really fast, and...
You're a very passionate person.
I feel it. I think it's something. In fact, they say it's Canadian. They say they think that it's going to have to be in everybody's gym bag, dancer's bag, physio, chiro. They're all going to have to use it because it is such an incredible, and it's called the longevity peptide gel.
Okay.
So anyway, I can...
Well, I'll be checking it out and I will report back on how I go with it because energy is something that I often seek. I have my good weeks and my not so good weeks, and sometimes I've got the energy of old, and it feels wonderful, but it's not consistent enough for me. I know that healing isn't linear, so I am heading up the mountain in the right direction, but I often have plateaus where I get stuck for a little while, and I think I've done a lot to address mitochondrial health, but carnosine is something, interestingly, that I always thought was just a bodybuilder
so
thing.
Have you looked it up?
No,
not carnitine. It's not carnitine.
Oh, carnosine.
Completely
there
different.
You go. That's right.
Completely different. If you look up carnosine, I can send you some stuff, which I will. It is just incredible. And you start reading about it, you realise this is the thing that's in children. That depletes as you age.
Well, why don't we do a little blog post or something, and then I can do a Q&A on that. So that's wonderful, and obviously longevity, is a massive part of your focus now.
And healthy aging. It's called longevity, healthy aging. It's my new theme going with movement as medicine.
So we've got movement as medicine. Absolutely love that. Longevity and healthy aging, they all go so beautifully together. So if we were to leave our lovely audience with just, 1 to 3 rituals that you would say, these are the things that, if you would to not do anything, these would be the top things to do.
This is if you don't have anything. If you haven't done something. This is what I actually do it every day. And now I've got to the point I can't miss it. So put your feet in the earth. Now, even if it's a little piece of grass or a little bit of dirt, not a cement path, not a road.
Okay, so it has to be actual earth. Yes.
Earth beneath your feet. There's a song many years ago I could sing, but I won't.
Where's Elodie?
She has sung this song actually. Feel the earth under your feet. That's the song. Anyway, I every morning, and sometimes I just look ridiculous because I'll have just a t-shirt on and I go in the front yard. Now that it's cooler, I've usually got a sweatshirt on to start with, and I put my feet in the earth, bare feet. It's a bit colder these days, and I jump. Now, I had my 84-year-old woman do it yesterday with me.
Wow.
She jumped, and that was just incredible. Anyway, that's another story, but I was showing her what I do. Anyway, so I jump, and I get up to 100 jumps. So and I've got a lemon tree, and I'm looking at the lemons all the time. Anyway, I jump, I do that. It's just a routine, takes me 10 minutes. Then I swing my arms. This starts to get the lymphatic moving, right? You might have seen lots of people, because I've been doing this for ages, and I've noticed some people are doing it now and putting up videos. Anyway, swing the arms, swing side to side, right? Pat yourself. This is all lymphatic stuff. And here, back to liver and spleen, doing all this movement, and arms in the air, dropping down, open the legs out into, if you can, do wide squats. Like a plie, a second position plie, basically. Dropping into squats, but take the arms up, breath out, contract abdominals. It sounds a lot, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it does. I do Donna Egan, some of her sort of, like getting the lymphatics going.
Lymphatic.
Getting all of that going
here,
up there. And then doing the cross crawl.
So I do that. I do that. So I do this every morning. But most of it I've made up, but I have seen, I'm going to say I made it up. I've known that these different things
You've
work.
put the best of different things together
and
in one.
Knees up and elbow to the opposite knee. So I do that, and occasionally I get Didier to come and do it with me, but he's not so good at it. He doesn't want to. He hates exercise. My husband. Anyway, but arms up to start with. The moment you lift your arms, you lift your vibrations.
Yes.
You know that too?
Yes.
So lovely inhale, and then exhale and roll down and get the spine moving.
Yes.
And then come on up again. And up and say, good morning. I love talking to everything. Hello trees, hello.
Yes.
Hello flowers, hello grass, thank you. Hello.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the Living Mojo podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned so much. I can't believe I've learned more about you. We should do this more often.
This is great, thank you. And thank you, Amy. I'm absolutely privileged to have been asked to do this, to be invited to do this.
Oh, it's wonderful, Jill. Yeah. You're an inspiration to women, worldwide. Keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to see how things evolve for you. Whenever you've got something new, let's have you back on the show and we can share more of your wisdom
with
all the women out there.
Thank
Love
you
very much.
Love
Thank
you
very
too.
much.
Thank you.